Let me play that again.
It wasn't until early February when I was in a meeting that experts at the foundation said, there's no way, there's been too much travel without diagnosis for us to contain this. And then at that point, we didn't really understand the fatality rate. We didn't understand that it's a fairly low fatality rate and that it's a disease mainly of the elderly, kind of like flu is, although a bit different than that.
So what Bill Gates is saying, this is what he's saying. This is not what I'm saying. It's what he's saying. I'm reporting what Bill Gates is saying. Bill Gates is saying is that COVID was a disease of the elderly with a very low death rate. And so when you ask why I was against mandates, that's why. That's one of the big reasons. And what we should have done was the Barrington Declaration, which was targeted, which was you protect the people who are most vulnerable to COVID, which are the elderly with comorbidities. That's who you try to protect. The average age of death from COVID is over the age of life expectancy. It's higher than the life expectancy. And this is what we ruined everyone's life over. And now he's admitting it. And no one gives a shit. No one, this isn't going to be run on CNN for a week. Rachel Maddow isn't going to come on and say we were all wrong. That's amazing. I can't overstate the amazingness of what he's saying, because I started reporting almost a year ago that the hospitalization rate from COVID, according to the Pew Research Center, was 0.89%. The hospitalization rate for COVID was 0.89%. Now, they say the death rate is higher than the hospitalization rate. I can't make those two numbers jibe. You tell me. And I can't find out what the real death rate is. Nobody can. Nobody knows. Did they die from COVID or with COVID? But we do know the average age of even people dying with COVID is over the age of life expectancy. And there's treatments. There's monoclonals, fluvoxamine. Vitamin D3 will help you weather it. They don't ever tell you about any of that. Vitamin D3, zinc. They don't tell you any of that. But they do tell you about vaccines. They'll tell you about vaccines all day long, all night long, even though he says it has a low fatality rate and it mostly affects the elderly.
You know what's screwed up is they don't even tell you, like, yes, take that, but also definitely get vaccinated, but take the vitamin D3.
Right.
Because
that's right.
I'm sure the reason is, well, then people are going to think they can just do that and not get the vaccine.
That's right.
That's why we don't want to risk telling them other things that could help them in addition to it. That's
right, Kurt. You're right. So that's why you only heard them say masks and vaccines. They never told you to get your immune system up. They never told you to lose weight. They never told you to get vitamin D3, to get zinc, to get your immune system boosted. And this person says, signs someone's lying, over-exaggeration hand gestures, and face touching. They knew it was a low fatality rate.
Oh, you know what? I should have Scott Rouse to analyze this.
And this had 658 likes, which is why I thought this was worth sharing. Like, yeah. I'm not a body language expert, but he's lying about something.
Oh, I got to get Scott Rouse and establish Bill Gates' baseline and then fake it, because I wanted him to look at the Epstein questioning, what he does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same thing. Remember that? He was doing this with the Epstein questioning and doing all this stuff. This guy has it. He nails it. He goes, this is why you don't go overboard when people disagree with you. People were canceled, sacked, deplatformed, and all sorts for insisting on these same opinions. They could have eventually been right or wrong, but you don't go to extremes when people disagree with you. Yeah, you weren't allowed to have a different opinion. I'm still not allowed to have this opinion. My friends, I have a lot of ex-friends who still won't talk to me, even though I was right about COVID 100%. They still aren't going to fucking ever apologize. They're never going to admit it. They're never going to admit what he just said. They're never going to admit what he just said, that this was a virus that was mostly attacked the elderly and was not that deadly. And then he said, not me, he's saying it was a lot like the flu, but a little different. Now, if I said that, they'd take my YouTube channel down. But he gets to say it, and everybody's like, oh, okay. Nobody goes up to him and hits him in the head with a pie and says, you mother... How...
This is also a reason we all should aspire, I guess, to be billionaires so that you can say that without being canceled, sacked.
You can,
it's the only way you can say things.
You have to be a billionaire before you can tell the truth about a pandemic. Gates in his somewhat contradicting manner, taking issue with establishment narrative literally years after people were attacked for saying similar things. I suspect part of his motive here is to rebrand himself as reasonable on these issues, a form of triangulation. That's exactly what this fucking guy's doing. That is exactly what he's doing.
If he does an interview where he's like, I always thought this guy Borla had a creepy-ass accent and I didn't trust him.
Here's what Max Blumenthal says. He says, Bill Gates waited for his wealth to increase by 31% before he acknowledged what others were banned from social media for saying for over a year or two ago.
Oh, that's why we can admit Ukraine's not going to win now.
Because everybody got their money. Everybody can now say Ukraine's not going to win because they got the $54 billion.
Right.
And now they got all that money, and now he's got 31% increase in his wealth. Actually, plenty of people did understand this, but whenever we spoke about it, the hysterical authoritarians lost their tiny minds. World-renowned infectious disease experts like Martin Kulldorff and Dr. Jay Bhattacharya were attacked for saying this. That's right, and we've had them on my show. Literally, everyone who looked at the data said it had a low fatality rate and that it was a disease mainly in the elderly. But you weren't allowed to say it. And the people who looked into the data were shamed for doing their own research. What are you, looking into the facts? What are you, reading? Everyone knows that nothing good comes from reading.
If I have no reading comprehension, you don't have any reading comprehension.